Hey guys, it is time for chapter 2 of our new book, Hello Universe. Remember in chapter 1 that we learned about Virgil. We learned about Virgil. And he is 11 years old and he's kind of skinny and all that kind of stuff. And his parents are from the Philippines and his grandma lives with them and he calls her Lola. And all the things. Okay, so now we're on Valencia. I'm not sure what God looks like. I don't know if there's one big God in heaven or if there's 2 or 3 or 30 or maybe one for each person. I'm not sure if God is a boy or a girl or an old man with a white beard, but it doesn't matter. I just feel safe knowing someone's listening. I mostly talk to Saint Rene. His real name is Renatus Goupil. He was a French missionary who traveled to Canada. While he was there, he made the sign of the cross over a kid's head, and they thought he was spreading curses. So they took him prisoner and killed him. I found out about him because on my 10th birthday, this girl Roberta gave me a book called Famous Deaf People in History. I would have never given Roberta a book about famous blonde people, or famous people who talk too much, or famous people who tried to cheat off my spelling paper, all of which described Roberta. But the good thing was that I found out about Saint Rene. I wonder if she's deaf. Let's find out. I don't know. Oh, she is. I don't know sign language, but I taught myself the alphabet, so I made up a sign name for Saint Rene. I cross my middle finger over my index finger, the sign for R, and tap it 3 times light against my lips. That's one of the first things I do after I take off my hearing aids for the night. Then I stare at the ceiling and imagine my prayers traveling up, 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 and hovering over my bed until they lift all the way through the roof. Then I imagine them landing on a cloud and sitting there, waiting to be answered. When I was younger, I thought the cloud would get so heavy that all my prayers would come falling down and I'd have everything I wished for. But now I'm 11, so I know better. I still picture them sailing up, though. There's no harm in that. I only pray at night because it's my least favorite time of day. Everything is still and dark, and I have too much time to think. One thought leads to another until it's 2 in the morning and I haven't slept a wink, or I've slept but not well. I didn't always hate the nighttime. I used to crawl into bed and drift off to sleep no problem. It's not because of the dark. That's never really bothered me. One time my parents took me to this place called Crystal Caverns, where you went underground and couldn't even see your hand in front of your face. I wasn't scared at all. I loved it down there. I felt like an explorer. Afterward, my dad bought me a souvenir snow globe. Only there are bats inside instead of snow. I keep it right next to me on my nightstand and I shake it before I go to sleep, just because. So it's not the dark that keeps me awake. It's the nightmare. The nightmare goes like this. I'm standing in a big open field, one I've never stood in before. The grass is yellow and brown under my feet, and I'm surrounded by thick crowds of people. Nightmare me knows who they are, even though they don't look like anyone I know in real life. They all look at me with round, black eyes with whites in them. Then a girl in a blue dress steps forward, away from the crowd. She says 2 words. Solar eclipse. I know what she's saying, even though I'm not wearing my hearing aids, and she doesn't move her mouth. That's how it is in dreams sometimes. The girl's pointing skyward. Nightmare me looks up to where she's pointing and watches attentively, not scared yet. I crane my neck along with everyone else. We all watch as the moon moves in front of the sun. The blazing blue sky turns gray, then dark, and Nightmare me thinks it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's strange how nightmares work, though. Somehow, Nightmare me knows things won't end well. As soon as the moon finishes passing the sun, my blood rushes into my ears and my palms get damp and I sweat. I look down from the sky, slowly, not wanting to see, and just as I suspected, everyone's gone. The whole crowd, even the girl in the dress. Nothing moves. Not one single blade of grass. The field stretches on for miles and miles. The moon has pulled everyone away. All but Nightmare me. I'm the only person on the face of the earth. I can't tell what time it is, but I know it's late, like past midnight late. As hard as I want to think, as hard as I want to not think about the nightmare, here I am, lying in bed and thinking about it. I shake my crystal caverns globe and watch the bats flutter around. Then I try to focus on the bumpy paint on my bedroom ceiling. My dad calls it popcorn paint. When I was a little girl, we'd pretend that the ceiling was really made out of popcorn, and we'd open our mouths wide and let it fall in. Next time I'll paint a licorice ceiling, my dad would say. He liked to say that Twizzlers were one of his favorite food groups. I'd shake my head and say, chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. It was our routine, but we don't do things like that anymore. I don't think he knows how to be a dad to an 11-year-old girl. You can't sit an 11-year-old girl on your shoulders, especially not when she's all knees and elbows and 5'5". And you can't make hot chocolate and wait up for Santa Claus or read picture books. But it was still nice to remember the popcorn licorice chocolate ceiling. It's better than thinking about the nightmare. I close my eyes and I feel the hum of the ceiling fan against my cheeks. I make a promise to myself. If I have another nightmare tonight, I'll talk to someone and ask for help. I don't know who, but someone. Not my mom. Don't get me wrong. There are times when my mom is easy to talk to. If you catch her on a good day, she isn't too mom-like. But I can never tell which mom I'm gonna get. Sometimes she's overprotective, overbearing, over everything. I once asked her flat out if she treated me that way because I'm deaf, because that's what it feels like sometimes. I'm not overprotective because you're deaf. I'm overprotective because I'm your mother, she said. But something in her eyes told me that wasn't the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I'm good at reading eyes. Same as lips. I most definitely don't want mom to know about the nightmare. She'd start asking me about it every morning and every night and insist that I see a psychiatrist or something. Then again, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. Maybe then I'd get some sleep. I close my eyes. Think of something nice. The coming summer? Yes, that's what I'll think about. 6th grade is over and the nice lazy summer stretches ahead. Okay, so maybe I don't have a gazillion friends to hang out with. So what? I'll make my own fun. I'll explore the woods and take notes for my zoological diary. Maybe draw some bird sketches. There's plenty to do. I don't need a gazillion friends. I don't even need one. All I need is me, right? Solo. It's the best way to go. It's a lot less trouble. And that's the end of Valencia. Clever and stubborn Valencia. And now it's Kaori Tanaka. I think. Maybe not. I can't tell. It doesn't say it. It says help of a different nature. Gulliver was a good friend, guinea pig or not. Virgil could tell him anything and he wouldn't judge. And that's what Virgil needed. Only also he needed real, practical guidance. He needed help of a very different nature. Lola, his grandma, had once told Virgil a story about a woman named Diapan who'd been hungry for 7 years because she didn't know how to grow food. One day, Diapan wept because all she wanted was 1 grain of rice and 1 pea pod, anything to put in her belly. She took a bath in a spring to wash away her tears, and a great spirit appeared to her with armfuls of sugarcane and rice. The great spirit gave it all to Diapan and told her exactly what she needed to do to grow more. And Diapan was never hungry again. Virgil wished that he had a great spirit that could tell him exactly what to do. But he only had Kaori Tanaka. Virgie fed Gulliver and texted Kaori as he walked down the hall for breakfast. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't text someone at 7:45 in the morning, especially not on the first day of summer. But nothing about Kaori was normal. Besides, she always seemed to be awake. Need appointment this afternoon if that's okay. That's his text at the bottom. Virgil slipped his phone into the pocket of his pajamas and followed the unmistakable sound of his parents and brother, who were early risers because they seemed to have an endless stream of soccer practices. In the kitchen, Mom, Dad, and the Jays were drinking orange juice and letting their personalities bubble over, while Virgil tried to maneuver through all the excitement so he could just get a piece of fruit or boil an egg. Good morning, Virgilio, said Joselito. Good morning, Turtle, said his parents almost in unison. Then Julius. My young buntag little brother. Virgil grumbled something like hello. His parents and brothers were sitting in the high-back chairs at the corner. Lola was at the breakfast table reading the newspaper. Your mother bought too many clementines, so eat as many as you can. Sorry. Your mother brought too many clementines, so eat as many as you can, said Lola without looking up. Then she clucked her tongue at all the wastefulness. Virgil grabbed 2 clementines in each hand and tried hard not to drop them as he sat next to her. His phone buzzed in his pocket. What are you reading about, Lola? Virgil asked. He arranged the clementines in a perfect line in front of him and then checked his phone. I'm available. Be here at noon sharp. There's the text. Virgil laid the phone face down on the table next to the clementines. Death and destruction across the universe, said Lola. Godliness around every corner. Julius craned his neck their way. Oh, Lola, don't be such a downer. Virgil had long suspected that his brothers were crafted out of a factory that made perfect, athletic, perpetually happy children, and he was made from all the leftover parts. The only sign that something went wrong with Joselito and Julius were their pinky fingers, which turned slightly inward. Virgil steadied his own hands as they worked away at the peel of the clementine. His fingers were long and slender. None of his turned inward. Lola, do you know anything about hands? He asked. He glanced at Joselito and Julius, but they were busy talking about soccer. Their father had recently joined a grown-up soccer league. Everyone was wild about soccer except Virgil. Lola sat down her newspaper. I know that they have 5 fingers each most of the time. What do you mean most of the time? Well, I once knew a girl in my village who was born with an extra thumb. Really? What did they do with it? Did she go to the doctor and get it chopped off? No, her poor family was poor. They couldn't afford a doctor. And it's going on 12 minutes, and I think I have a little bit more of this chapter left, so I'm going to stop right now. So we have been introduced to, well, we haven't really been introduced to Kaori, although it sounds like that might be one of his best friends, and hopefully we're going to meet her at noon. But now we know Virgil and Valencia. Valencia is deaf, stubborn, super smart, doesn't have very many friends, has all these nightmares, she's got a little bit of anxiety, and then Virgil is just shy and misunderstood, while his 2 brothers are super cool and totally perfect except for their bendy fingers, and everyone in his family has like all kinds of like energy, and he is just totally different than that. So that's so far what we got. All right, guys, till next time.